Hello dear listener, please subscribe to our channel. Enjoy watching. I never thought I'd be that guy. You know, the one who finds out his wife's cheating on him while he's busy busting his ass at work, being the good husband. But then again, no one ever thinks it'll be them. We all walk into marriage with this blind faith, believing our partner's in it for the long haul, just like we are. And for a while, I really thought Lauren was. We met in college. She was this sharp, ambitious girl with a laugh that could turn heads across a room. I was drawn to her immediately, like some magnetic pull I couldn't resist. From that moment on, we were inseparable. We went through everything together: graduations, crappy first jobs, late-night ramen dinners, and dreams of the future. When I finally got down on one knee after 5 years, I was more certain about her than I'd ever been about anything in my life. Our wedding was small, just close friends and family, a perfect day on the beach. I can still remember the way she looked walking down the aisle, that beaming smile, like we had the world at our feet. In those moments, I truly believed we were unbreakable. And for a while, we were. We both landed good jobs right out of school. I went into finance, Lauren into marketing. We bought a house in the suburbs, nothing fancy, but enough to make us feel like we'd made it. We talked about starting a family someday, but there was no rush. We had time. At least, I thought we did. Then things started to change. It wasn't like a bombshell dropped out of nowhere. No, it was slow. Creeping. Little things that didn't add up. She started coming home later and later, always with some excuse about work. At first, I bought it. Lauren's a hard worker, always has been. But when the late nights turned into a regular thing, 3-4 times a week, my gut told me something was off. You know that feeling you get when something doesn't sit right, but you don't have the proof? That's where I was. I didn't want to be that guy, the paranoid husband, but something deep down was gnawing at me. So I let it ride for a while, hoping it was just a phase. Maybe work really was hectic for her, right? Maybe she just needed space. But even then, my instincts kept telling me there was more to the story. Then, one night, everything changed. It was a Friday. Lauren had been working late again, and I was sitting at home with a beer, watching some mindless show, waiting for her to come back. She came in around midnight, looking flustered, and headed straight to the shower. I glanced at her phone on the kitchen counter, its screen lighting up with a message from someone named Kevin. That was the first time I saw the name. But not the last. I'm not proud of it, but I unlocked her phone while she was in the shower. There it was, plain as day. Text after text between Lauren and Kevin. They weren't just coworkers, hell, they weren't even just friends. They were meeting up after work. She was lying to me. The messages were explicit, detailing exactly how she couldn't wait to see him, how last night had been amazing, how they needed to be more careful. Careful, my ass. I sat there in silence, staring at her phone while the sound of the shower filled the house. My chest felt tight, like I'd been hit with a sledgehammer, and for a split second, I wanted to storm into that bathroom and confront her right then and there. But something stopped me. Instead, I put her phone back where it was, right down to the angle it had been sitting, and I waited. Played it cool. She came out of the shower, oblivious, acting like everything was fine. And I acted along with her, my heart pounding, trying to keep my expression neutral. I don't know how I did it, but I did. That night, while she slept beside me, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking about what I was going to do next. Because here's the thing, I didn't want to just confront her, have a screaming match, and end it all. No. That would have been too easy. Too quick. I wanted her to feel it. To regret every second of what she was doing behind my back. The next few weeks were torture. I played the part of the doting husband, all smiles and love, while inside, I was seething. Every time she left the house, I imagined her with him. Every time her phone buzzed, I knew it was him. But still, I waited. Revenge, I figured, wasn't something to rush. It had to be carefully planned, meticulously executed. So I started digging into Kevin. Turns out, he was married too. His wife, Stacy, was some sweet, innocent woman who probably had no idea her husband was screwing around. And that was the first piece of the puzzle for me, Kevin's wife. I knew I could use her somehow, but I didn't reach out to her. Not yet. There was more I needed to do. Lauren worked at the same company as Kevin, though they weren't in the same department. But I started showing up to a few of her company events, charity dinners, holiday parties, anything where I could make connections. I started making friends with her boss, Mark, and a few of the other higher-ups. I wanted them to know who I was, to see me as Lauren's supportive, loving husband. I played the part perfectly. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, I started laying the groundwork for something bigger. I'd worked in finance long enough to know how to manipulate things when necessary, and I started planting subtle clues that Lauren and Kevin were involved in some shady financial dealings at work. Fake emails, altered documents, just enough to raise suspicions without it looking too obvious. I was patient. I waited for months, carefully putting everything into place while pretending not to notice a damn thing. Lauren thought she was in the clear. She probably thought I was too busy with my own job to pay attention to what she was doing behind my back. But I saw everything. The day everything fell apart for her was almost anticlimactic, in a way. Lauren had just gotten a big promotion at work, more money, more responsibility, more travel. She was riding high, feeling untouchable. That's when I made my move. I reached out to Stacy, Kevin's wife, and told her everything. I sent her the screenshots of the texts, the photos of their secret meetings, all of it. Stacy was devastated, of course, but she wasn't the only one who got the package. I made sure Lauren's boss, Mark, got an anonymous tip about their affair and the questionable financial documents I'd been crafting over the last few months. It didn't take long for the house of cards to collapse. The feds showed up at our door on a Tuesday morning. I was in the kitchen, drinking my coffee, when they knocked. Lauren was upstairs getting ready for work, completely unaware of what was about to happen. I watched as they told her they were there for an investigation into some financial misconduct involving her and Kevin. She looked at me, wide-eyed and terrified, and I gave her nothing. No reaction. I just stood there, sipping my coffee, letting the silence hang between us. They didn't arrest her right away, but they took her in for questioning. Kevin, too. The investigation tore through their company, uncovering all the fake documents I'd planted. Kevin tried to cover for her at first, but it was too late. The damage was done. Their affair became public knowledge, and Lauren was fired on the spot. Her career was over. When she came home that night, she was a wreck. She kept trying to explain, to tell me it was all a misunderstanding, that she wasn't involved in anything illegal. But I didn't care. I knew the truth, and so did she. I listened to her sob, begging for me to believe her, and I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness. Just cold satisfaction. That night, I packed my bags. I didn't say a word to her as I left. I just left a note on the kitchen counter, one simple sentence: "You always wanted more." Well, here it is. And that was it. I walked away from the house, from her, from everything. I didn't look back. The fallout was brutal for both of them. Kevin lost everything: his job, his marriage, his reputation. Stacy filed for divorce, and he was blacklisted from the industry. As for Lauren, she tried to salvage what was left of her career, but no one would hire her after the scandal. She became toxic in the corporate world. Word spreads fast in our circles, and her name was mud. It's funny, really. She thought she was so smart, so careful, but in the end, she never saw it coming. I didn't just punish her. I destroyed her entire life, piece by piece. And the best part? She'll never be able to prove it was me. I could have been the guy who just blew up, burned everything down in a moment of rage. But this was better. Revenge isn't something you rush. It's a slow burn, a long game. And sometimes, the best revenge is letting them think they've won, right until the moment you pull the rug out from under them. Now, every time she looks in the mirror, she'll remember me. Every time someone asks her what happened to her career, she'll think about the choices she made. And she'll live with that for the rest of her life. I didn't just take her down. I made sure she felt every inch of the fall. If you leave a comment, tell us what you think about the story you heard. It's important to us and will help us find and tell stories that you find interesting. Thank you for watching us.